here we go with continuing the mystery of history. Volume 1, Ramses the Great. We're on lesson 24. I'm hoping that today I will be able to load these up. So far it's working with the Bible reading. It's really slow, way slower than normal, but it's working. So we will see if we can get to hook these up today. Ramses II, also known as Ramses the Great. This study of history can be tedious in trying to remember dates and places. That's why I have tried instead to teach you through the lives of real people. People are far more interesting to me than dates and places.
I'm going to treat you of lives of the real people.
Lives, like living, like their life, not as in lies. So before we learn more about one more ruler of Egypt, let's review the intriguing land of pyramids by time theory, periods, and kingdoms. Egypt divides its ancient history into groups of kingdoms. At least 12 have been identified. The four main ones are the Old Kingdom, the Middle Kingdom, the Early New Kingdom, and the Later New Kingdom. We have already learned about some people and events that took place during these first three kingdoms. See the chart on the next page for a quick review. So during the Old Kingdom, you had King Cheops built the Great Pyramid of Giza. The Middle Kingdom, you had the Egyptian rulers during the time of when Joseph became the prime minister. And then during the Early Kingdom, you had Amenhotep IV and Nefertiti ruled. And then later on, their son-in-law, King Tut, died after he ruled for a short time. We read about him last week. King Tut, remember?
No.
Tut Kingdom. He ruled, he died when he was 18 years old.
But why did he...
They don't know. They think that he may have been murdered because somebody wanted to be king instead of him. Today we're going to look at a ruler from the Later New Kingdom, also called the Golden Age of Egypt. This kingdom was from 1300 to 1090 BC. Its most famous pharaoh was Ramses II.
But was he a bad king?
King Tut?
Yeah.
I think all people have some badness and goodness. He was not one of the worst kings. I don't think he loved God, if that's what you're asking. But most of the Egyptians didn't love God.
But they're still actually like good.
They aren't good people by God's measures. They still would have died and gone to hell.
Oh.
But they may not have been horrible. Does that make sense? Okay.
Mom, I'm going to miss Grandpa Steinhauser so much.
When he drives out to Arizona?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But why am I not going to meet him?
We're going to see him next Saturday, actually, before they go.
Then why can he not follow down to Arizona?
Because it's too long of a drive. Otherwise, Mom would drive you guys out there for a visit. But it's more than a day. You have to drive for more than a day. Okay, let me read this because we have the timer going and I have to load it. You can ask me when we're done. Just remember. Ramses the Great came to power at a time when Egypt was weak. The country had become fragile from problems with the royal family. Problems at home often make a country lose power against its neighbor. That's what happened to Egypt after the reign of King Tut and others. Ramses the Great came to the throne at a young age and served as co-regent with his father for a while. By the time Ramses was the sole pharaoh of Egypt, his strong leadership was evident. He fought a powerful people in Asia called the Hittites and made a treaty with them to divide Syria. He also fought the Philistines, whom we know from the Bible. While the country was growing strong and expanding its border, Ramses the Great started a massive building campaign for which he is most famous today. In fact, Ramses constructed a temple or building in almost every important city in Egypt. He is credited with building the largest column hall ever built by man, located in Karnak. It is suitably named for the Great Hall because its columns are up to 78 feet tall. Ramses the Great also built a mortuary or funeral home in the west bank of Thebes and had a temple erected in the city of Abu Simbel. 4 massive figures bearing the resemblance of Ramses II. It's the city. Bearing the resemblance of Ramses II, guard the entrance to the temple of Abu Simbel. Like many of the pharaohs, Ramses seemed to like monuments of himself. Here is a picture of that. And I'll show you guys in 1 second. Here you go.
Hey, Mom, look.
That is one of the
This is
things
called
that he built.
action. When I go to meet Grandpa Steinhaus, I will tell him it's called a pumpkin.
A what? A pup-gene?
Yeah,
Oh,
because that's called a
okay. There's a reason for the decline of his great and mysterious power. What is the reason? Oh, we missed something. Hang on. Though some of Ramses' buildings were sturdy to still stand today, his kingdom was not. The great empire of ancient Egypt began to dwindle after the reign of Ramses the Great, and it never again rose to the height it had known. In fact, Ramses II may have been one of Egypt's last strong pharaohs.
This is for Grandma Honey.
That one's for Grandma Honey.
Yeah, it's called a tunnel.
A tunnel?
Yeah,
Okay.
see, it's black and purple.
Yeah. Many countries, including Egypt's neighbors and enemies, were using iron to build their weapons. You did a good job, by the way, Edward. That looks like a tunnel. You should put some grass or something around the outside.
Hey, Mom, does
The Egyptians...
Steinhaus like purple and pink?
I'm sure he does. The Egyptians didn't have their own iron, and they had to get this valuable resource from Asia. So for centuries to come, Egypt was dominated by world power like the Persians, the Greeks, and the Romans. I can hardly wait to tell you about the Romans' involvement with Egypt in the 1st century before Christ. It had something to do with Julius Caesar and Cleopatra. But that story will have to wait until Q4, when for a time Egypt will rise again and be on center stage in world history.
Gwen too.
I said when, not Gwen. All right, can you guys say goodbye?
Bye-bye.